You actually make decisions better. You move better in your body. It all clarity, full clarity. Every time that you have pleasure, whether it's the cup of tea or an orgasm, you are training your brain that pleasure is safe. Pleasure is good. More pleasure. Pleasure is positive.
Hey, I'm Jen, host of the Open Bedroom Podcast, where you'll find topics of sex, dating, relationships, non-monogamy, and more. I'm glad you're here. Let's dive in. Today, we're talking about an orgasm a day, and you are welcome. Today, I'm bringing you Natty Frasca. She is a midlife reinvention coach and the founder of the Feminine Rebellion, which is a private coaching practice for high-functioning women who are ready to unhook from expectations, reclaim their pleasure, and build lives that turn them all the fucking way on.
Pleasure to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. I'm here. I'm glad that you're here and excited to make this magic today, and excited to just get into some pleasure-filled conversation. As you know, there's no filters here. We say whatever we want. So kick us off. Tell us a little bit more about you and how did you become this embodied coach, and maybe specifically for high achieving women, why that's specific.
Yeah, sure. I basically had coach women who were me.
Yeah.
To be honest, I am, and I'm proud to say I am a high achieving driven woman. And at 40, I had a big job. I was the executive director of a nonprofit. I had left an advertising career to kind of slow down to become and the ED of a nonprofit. And I was burned out. I was ready to leave my marriage. I didn't know what was wrong with me, but if you looked at my life on paper, I had an amazing job. I had 3 healthy kids. I was in partnership for 14 years with a solid human being, a good guy, a hard worker, a good dad. And I was just freaking sinking. Underneath the surface of my life, it was just no bueno. And I went to a doctor and to figure out what was wrong. And there's oh, you have high functioning depression, which is when, for high achieving driven women, we keep it all together. It looks like on the outside, we're checking all the boxes. My kids were in orchestra and 13 different, 3 kids and a million different activities. I looked like the picture perfect wife, mom, worker bee. And would lay in bed at night and think, what the hell is wrong with me? Why can't I get happy? And then an incredible amount of guilt alongside that, because I had everything I thought I wanted. So why couldn't I get happy? So that was kind of the beginning of my journey. I did blow up my career and left to try to figure out my shit. And I tried to blow up my marriage. That's a whole nother story. I'm still married 23 years, but that was we don't have time to go down that rabbit hole today, but that's been an incredible journey. And I became a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher. And I found pleasure through the feminine. And it was my yoga teacher and yoga teacher training who saw me as this driven, high functioning, high achieving woman and said to me, I have a book for you. And it was a book by Sally Kempton. And it was I'm trying to remember the name of it now, Awakening the Feminine or something like that. And to be honest, I wanted to punch her in the throat. I was what is this feminine garbage? I grew up in an Italian American family, the youngest of 3 kids, the only girl. I just learned to hustle hard and work hard and be the best at everything I did. But I dove in. And what I learned is that there's this whole other aspect of our subconscious, of our humanity, that I didn't know anything about. So I was showing up in a way that was like one part of me, the driven part, right? But I'd completely dismissed this this more receiving pleasure embodied version of myself. And so I went down this rabbit hole and I started researching pleasure. Um, I was actually working as a biologist, my degree's in biology. So I have a research brain. So I just started reading scientific papers on pleasure. I went to several pleasure trainings, got certified in pleasure and sexuality training, and realized through all of this that pleasure is fuel. Yeah, your eyes are lighting up. Pleasure is fuel. And for the high achieving woman who is checking all the boxes and feeling like I was burned out, pleasure is an incredible tool to actually help you achieve even more, but in like a more embodied, full faceted way, like bringing all of yourself to the table. And I guess I should back up maybe and tell you what I think pleasure is. Maybe define it. Would that be helpful?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I had like 15 questions just from your
Yeah.
bio
Okay.
story. Like
Yeah.
so much of me connects with you because I've been her too.
Yeah.
I've been the woman that showed up in the office with the pantsuit and did everything I could to climb the corporate ladder and found it fairly
Mm.
easy because I just showed up in the way I wanted to, eventually get to. And people were like, "Hey, here's your ticket. Let's go." And pushed and forced and I realized I joined a priestess group. That was my aha feminine
Oh,
moment.
yeah.
I remember I was sitting in this hut in the middle of North Carolina looking up going like, what the fuck?
Right.
Like,
What have I been missing?
well, and I felt so called out, like in a good way, because I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm so high achieving at work and I can make millions of dollars and I've done all these things. And then I remember Marcella is her name. She was our leader. She was like, "Are you maybe being super masculine at home too?" And I thought about all the
Yes.
ways that I was like leading my family and like
Yes.
my husband to do things and like trying to get him to do the thing I wanted him to do, and he wasn't getting it. And I was just like, I'm exhausted. I'm
Yes.
fucking exhausted
I,
by forcing.
I love, love, love that you said this because, okay, we will dive into my marriage for a second
Mhm.
because the one of the like crucial or critical moments in my journey was when I was in the therapy session in couples therapy with my husband. We were married 14 years, and I said I want a divorce. I realized like I'm just going to drop the bomb, and my therapist said, "Okay, well, what do you want?" And we had been in therapy for like 6 years, and I said, "I want a condo in the center of town. I want someone to mow the lawn. I want, a house cleaner, and I definitely want a lover." And he was like, "Well, okay, let me rephrase that. How do you want to feel?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "How do you want to feel?" And I was like, I don't get the question."
Hmm.
And I just paused and I had this vision of myself in the kitchen of my home. Jerry Garcia is playing on the radio. I'm stirring a pot of my grandmother's ragu. My kids are little and they're running around the kitchen all wild. And my husband comes up behind me. This is like the bonus of the whole vision. My husband comes up behind me, wraps his arms around my waist, puts his beard on my neck, kisses me. I know, right? Like, is your pussy tingling already?
Oh,
I'm like, just thinking about it, I get turned on, and puts a glass of like Cabernet next to me.
oh,
And I was like, just started crying. And I was like, I want to feel seen. I want to feel adored. I want to feel like a queen. I want you to bow down to me. I want to be taken care of. And all of these things are started pouring out of me.
Mm.
And I was so embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
I was so the shroud of shame because I was a hardcore feminist,
Mm-hmm.
do it all with flying colors, slap a fucking smile on my face, give me all the blue ribbons and the trophies. And my husband, like, I remember because our chairs were like not really towards each other, but kind of like facing the therapist. He turned his chair towards me, held my hands, and he's like, I would love you to let me do those things.
Mm-hmm.
Please let me. And like, that was, I was like, wait, what? That's possible? Like, can I have those things and also be kick ass? Can those two things go together? And so I've worked the last 9 years on like reclaiming this part of myself. Like, how can I achieve a lot and be driven and also be this luscious, delicious pleasure goddess whose husband brings her coffee in bed, you know, who allows herself to take a nap in the afternoon in between calls. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and what I've realized, and this brings us back to the pleasure conversation, is that I've realized that pleasure is the fuel for driven women. So we think it's for lazy people. We think, at least I thought, I thought pleasure was for slackers. And really, the research I've done, the scientific research I've done, has shown that pleasure is fuel for so many things. And let's just jump into orgasms. Okay,
Okay.
so I mean, like, pleasure lives on a spectrum, right? So, pleasure can be anything from, and it's subjective. So it can be anything from sitting on your couch with a cup of tea underneath a cozy blanket in front of a fire, all the way to toe curling sex on a Sunday morning with multiple lovers, right? Like, it is it is everything that makes your body come alive.
Mm.
Now, orgasms are like the fucking, we're going to say they're the fucking tits, because when you achieve orgasm, and they've studied this in MRIs, they have put women, in an MRI machine and stimulated an orgasm. And what they see in the brain is that the entire brain, like 90% of the brain, lights up. So your prefrontal cortex that controls decision making, your cerebellum, which controls movement, your nucleus accumbens, which is for um, what is it when you're wanting to, like, motivation. So much of your brain lights up. So you become fully alive and clearer. You actually make decisions better. You move better in your body. I mean, it all clarity, full clarity. And not only that, but your nervous system goes from fight or flight into rest and digest. So you're automatically relaxed and calm. And there's neuroplasticity. So every time that you have pleasure, whether it's the cup of tea or an orgasm, you are training your brain that pleasure is safe, pleasure is good, more pleasure, pleasure is positive. And what we all want, what all women want, is a life that feels good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a life that feels good. And so it is just, it is the fuel that we need. So I have practices I do with women. We call them, pleasure pumps. So I'm like, look at your day. Where in your day can you pump pleasure?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have to get strategic about it. especially for high achieving women who have full calendars, families, and a lot on their list, right? Can you masturbate in between meetings if you work from home? Like, can you have how many orgasms can you have a day? Like, I am a one orgasm a day minimum. I mean, even when I am stressed, tired, I will work to get myself turned on. And and I would say like 80% of these are by myself. So this is not just for partnered people. Like, I probably have sex with my husband 2 or 3 times a week, but the rest of the time is their solo practices. So it's like brushing my teeth. I brush my teeth more than once a day, but it's it's just self-care. It's like showering.
Cool. Okay, I want to jump in. I have a bunch of stuff to say.
Please.
Okay. The first thing that I'm hearing, like throughout your story thread, and then us
Mhm.
jumping back in and talking about being very masculine led women, and then finding this soft femininity and
Mm,
realizing, oh, wow, this is actually like the life hack easy button is to allow pleasure.
mhm.
Allowing, like you've allowed yourself to really take an inventory of your life and your marriage and go to therapy and have those conversations where your husband
Mm.
looks at you and it's like, look, lady, if you would just let me take care of you, I would, you know? And I
Yes.
think every one of us, that's in this position of like going from very heavy masculine into feminine, like we've had these aha moments where we're like, we're causing our own pain. Like this is
Yes.
because of us that we don't get to be taken care of because we're like, I think of like the elbow jab where you're like, no, I'm good. I got this.
Yes.
No, I don't need you to
Yes.
do anything. But inside, we're
Yes.
dying inside. Like, put
Yes.
your arms around me and give me a cup of coffee.
Yeah. I mean, I have so much to say about this, Jennifer. Like, so our ability to receive
Hmm.
is a big issue, right? And listen, the patriarchy has made it very hard for women to learn how to receive because we're seen as the caretakers, we're seen as the doers, the emotional laborers of our family. And there are some easy practices that I share with women to just begin to kind of crack that shell a little bit. And one I call the 3 asks. So, yeah. Um, so the 3 asks are you have to ask for 3 things every day. So that could be, I mean, for instance, so recently I woke up in the morning and I said to my husband, "Oh, hey, lovey, how'd you sleep?" He's like, "Good." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm still kind of cozy in bed. Can you bring me a cup of coffee?" One. Okay. Number two, um, we have some lights above our bar in our kitchen, and they were like all different colors because people had just like replaced them with random light bulbs, and it was really fucking annoying me. Hey, I'm not totally, you know what I mean.
You're not
I was
totally
just
cured from this, like you're totally in your juicy phone and you're like, whatever. I like the multi-light color.
no. I was like, they all need to be the same shade of yellow.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, today at some point, can you change those 3 light bulbs so they match? And he's like, yeah, no problem. And then the third thing, and this is probably like we've developed a very good relationship over the last 9 years that I've been doing this work. So it's not like if we were still in the grind, I'm not sure these would have worked as well. But now he's like a fucking puppy dog. Um, and the third thing was, oh, I had a neighbor who was nearby and I was moving out of my house and I asked him to move a bookshelf out of my basement. I could have totally dragged that out myself, but I was like, oh, I've got one more ask and my neighbor's right there. I'm like, hey, Johnny. Can you help me drag this out? Can you take this from the basement playroom out to the garage? I'm selling it on Facebook Marketplace. He's like, no problem. So, three asks. Ask for three things every damn day.
Hmm.
So that's like a
What does
very,
this do for us, Natty?
what this does is once you learn how to ask and receive, well, it really does settle your nervous system. This is all about nervous system response. So you're training your brain and your body that it's safe to ask for what we want and to receive it. And even if we don't receive it, like just say I asked my husband for a cup of coffee and he was like, "Oh, I can't. I'm running out to the gym." I'm like, "Oh, okay. No problem. I replace it with something else later in the day. I don't make it mean some big fucking thing." I'm like, "Okay." Later in the day, I'm like, "Hey, can you do the dog walk?" I mean, it's just we're training your brain. This is all about neuroplasticity and training your brain that it's safe to ask for things. Another thing that I love to have women do, and this is not an easy one, but when someone compliments you, receive the compliment and say, "Thank you. It's true." I know. I actually learned this from Mama Gina, Regina Thomasauer, who wrote the book Pussy.
Mm.
So this is one of the practices I learned in one of her trainings. So thank you. It's true. I know.
Why does that bring up so many feels? Like,
Yeah,
who are
because we're
you to say that you deserve that compliment?
exactly, exactly.
Oh.
Right? We're so used to and trained to dismiss and deflect.
Mhm. Oh, this old thing?
Exactly. I'm like, "Oh my God, Jen, you look so fucking hot today." What would you say?
Oh, geez, I stood out in the water for 15 hours looking at land this
Well,
morning.
let's
My hair's all froey.
let's
That's what I want
practice
to
though.
say.
But let's practice. Let's do it. You
Right.
look so fucking hot today.
Thank you. It's true.
It is true. It is true.
Makes
And
me a little nervous to say it though.
it does. But
Wow.
actually, it's a beautiful thing because especially if you do it with another woman, you're training her, you're teaching her that it's okay to receive and to love yourself and say,
Mhm.
"Yeah, thank you. It's true." I mean,
Mm.
it's kind of shocking.
Okay,
But
I want to do
imagine
it.
if
I want to do it back.
okay,
Yeah. Natty, you are looking so fit. Like the muscle definition in your arm is insane.
thank you. It's true.
Oh my God. This is fun.
Thank you. Right? It's so fun. And when you can practice it, like you could share this with your girlfriends, you can practice it in safe small groups, and then they can practice it in other safe small groups. It's maybe it takes a little while for you to bring it out into the broad public,
Right.
right? But share it with your friends.
And the idea here is like really integrating the it's true in your body. So like
Yes.
eventually you don't have to be like, it's true. Like eventually you're like, thank you. And like
Yeah,
truly believe it. Is that the idea?
exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Total embodiment, total integration.
Can we
Yes.
talk for a minute about calendars? So I heard you say calendar out your pleasure. And I think that for me, it really follows that line of allowing as we're stepping from masculine into feminine and then going, I need a
Mm,
little help to make to
yes.
feel like I'm allowed to do this. And maybe talk to me a little bit about what does calendaring pleasure look like if you're making
Yeah.
sure you have a freaking orgasm a day? Like, is it the same
Yeah.
time? Is it just random? How do you make sure that it happens?
Well, I have some practices that I do every day, non-negotiable. So yeah, in the morning, there is, a kind of a sensual dance in front of my mirror. So I get out of the shower. It's not always after the shower, but usually it's after the shower, after my dog walk. And I have a huge mirror in my bedroom and I put on a song for some reason, I lean towards Sade because it's like I'm an 80s girl and it's sexy. And I just give myself a little show. And I, touch my arms and I touch my neck. And I basically give myself a little like mini sex show. And it's just me. And I'm just like staring into my eyes and touching my body. And I'm just completely embodying this sensual, delicious, powerful, sexy version of myself. And, I share this with my clients as well. I've made playlists for my clients to do these practices in the shower too. Like imagine you have your body, your body scrub or your, body wash, and it's all bubbly and maybe has a really good scent. Mine's rose. And I put on a playlist and I just wash my whole body in the most delicious, sensual way. And I'm washing my body anyway. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, maybe this takes an extra 90 seconds in the shower, but I do it with intention, with purposefulness. I do it listening to my body. This feels good. Talking to my body. What feels good about this? Where do I like to be touched? So that's something easy that everyone can do. And then as far as scheduling it, when I'm working with women in the beginning, we do something called a pleasure spectrum. And we talked about it. And I said that it was subjective. So they have to go do pleasure research. So they have to spend a week walking around their life, being in their life, and thinking about the things that make them feel good. So for many of them, it's having fresh flowers in the house. For some of them, it's, drinking tea. For some of them, it's being on a walk in nature without headphones or a phone nearby. For some of them, it's reading poetry. But they make a list. They do pleasure research. They say, what in my life turns me on, or what would turn me on, or what has turned me on in the past, made me feel good. And then we map it out and we say, okay, you have, 4 or 5 things that are kind of the smaller pleasures that where could we place those in your calendar? So I have a woman who's in love with yin yoga. She hasn't done it in years, but she's like, you know what? I'm going to start doing yin every Sunday night. There's a class not far from me. So from 6 to 7:30 on Sundays, that's going to be my pleasure pump for the day. For others, it's the sexy morning practice, and then maybe an orgasm in the early evening by themselves, maybe before the kids come home from soccer practice. But we actually map it out. And what I have discovered after coaching many, many women is that pleasure and the effects of it compound, kind of like putting money in the bank and earning interest on it. The more you practice it, the more you embody it, the more you just make it a part of your daily life, the more rewards you reap. So, and the more easily it becomes to just integrate it naturally. I mean, I'm not scheduling my pleasure. It's just habit now. It's just a way of life. And I do a lot. I am like a busy woman with a lot on my calendar that I love to do, all things that I love. And I make time to integrate pleasure. It's a non-negotiable at this point.
Okay, so I'm hearing you don't put it on your calendar. You're not like
I don't have to
scheduling your work around, okay, I'm going to take a 10-minute or 10 at 10 a.m. I'm going to stop and go get my vibrator.
Well, I don't, but because now it's just natural. Like I do dance practices in between calls.
Yeah.
I do dance practices with my clients in the beginning of calls sometimes. I masturbate regularly.
Mm.
This is just, I always have like a pleasure for me is coconut water with lime juice in it. So it's just better than
You
water.
just like built it around your whole life.
Yeah.
Well, I keep getting this hit, and I know it's not from me. Like I'm feeling like maybe it's going to be a future listener or viewer of this.
Yeah.
When we're talking about having an orgasm every day, and we're talking
Yeah.
about masturbating frequently, even in between meetings, I had some things
Yeah.
that came up, and it was like, what if this means I have a problem or like this feels dirty? So I'm curious if you've
Mm,
had any clients where for them they were just like, I don't know how to get past all this sex stuff. Like you're talking about orgasms and like
yeah.
occasionally I'm sleeping with my partner, but like to
Yeah.
touch myself and play with myself throughout the day, like do I have a poor,
Yeah.
do I have an addiction? Like talk to me about that.
Yeah. So, first of all, we have to talk about the root of this, right? And like every woman who comes to my practice has a different history. So, we're not jumping into masturbating every day one. So, we're working on like moving our bodies to dance to music a lot of the times. And this shame around sex, what I often have to explain to women is that, we have this organ, this vulva, vagina. I just call it pussy. And it was designed, we have a clitoris, and the clitoris was designed, has one purpose, and that's pleasure. So you can stimulate your clitoris and not get pregnant. A man can't do that. If a man reaches climax, he has the potential of impregnating someone. The only purpose of our clitoris is pleasure. That's it. So I have women come to me who have more of a religious background. And I'm like, so God, goddess, the universe created this so you could experience pleasure. And so sometimes that's a little bit of a mindset shift
Mm-hmm.
for them to get around it. And then, this is a slow roll. I think what happens is when a woman slowly becomes embodied, wanting sex, wanting pleasure is the natural evolution of that. So it's a natural unfolding
Mm.
in the process. And it's not dirty. I mean, I was raised in a Catholic house. We never talked about sex. I never had the sex talk. We never talked about pleasure. I didn't really know anything. I mean, I just learned don't have sex, don't get pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been my own awakening and revolution and rebellion as well to reclaim my pleasure. So I get it.
Mm-hmm. Reclaiming your pleasure, stepping into your feminine, being the host of the Feminine Rebellion podcast. Like, what does
Mm,
this do for you and for your clients regarding, money and work and your
mm,
clients and like abundance? Like, what does
yeah.
this do for your world when you step into this kind of energy?
It's total. You become magnetic.
Mm.
You become magnetic. You draw things towards you. You become magnetic. You open your creative portal, opens up. You become available to what life, the universe, God, goddess has to offer you, which I believe is everything. Like humans are meant to live lives that feel good. I have a client who was a financial planner, is a financial planner. And this is a client from, a couple years ago. But she, after our work, well, she built a sex room. So
Yes, she did.
that's one thing, but that's not what I was going to talk about.
Yeah.
She opened up first, she shifted her business. So now she's a financial planner that works only with women to help women build wealth. And then she started a nonprofit arm of her business to help artists. She was previously in the artist community, to help artists build wealth. So I think you step into purpose, you step into aliveness, you're less afraid, you're more grounded, you're more alive, you push love everywhere you go, you see people. I mean, your relationships blossom. It's life-changing because you feel good. And people who feel good do good.
Bam. I mean, that feels like a mic drop moment right there. So for our listeners that are like, I freaking need more Natty in my life, what is the funnel that they get through? Do people normally start with your podcast, or do they join like a program?
Yeah.
How does that work?
No, I would start with the podcast or get on my email list. That's where, most of my kind of nuggets are. And that's just my website, the Feminine Rebellion/pleasure is how to get on my email list. Yeah, I work with women exclusively one-on-one. My women are looking for bespoke one-on-one work. They're less interested in the group thing in general. The high achievers, they're like, I want to see you for an hour 15 once a week. I want your eyes on me. They want laser focus. They want results. Yeah, I would be thrilled to have any of your women also in my world too.
Awesome. And Natty's just like this on her podcast. Like she's soft and feminine, but direct, and like everything that you listen to, every single podcast episode, I'm like taking notes. I'm like, wait, hold on. I need to do this thing. Or like, this is incredible information, or I'm sharing it on my Facebook pages and like tagging friends. So I will
love
be
that.
sure and put your podcast link below and then the link to your website if people are interested in coaching with you. Thank you so much for just being you and like being willing to show up.
I fucking love you. Isn't it amazing how like you just see someone online? I don't know if you saw me or I saw you. I think I reached out to you first. I don't know. But I was just like, that woman needs to be in my world.
Same.
And I'm always like picking women out. I'm like, and her and her and her. Oh, good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Open Bedroom Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and give us a like and click subscribe below and stay up to date on all the new episodes that we release. If you have a topic that you'd really like more information on, leave us a comment below and we'll see what we can do. Feel free to share this podcast with all of your friends and especially your partners. This is a great way to open up some amazing conversations. We'll see you next week.